Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another amazing episode of MotorFiles. We're back working on bikes, which I'm really stoked about. It's been a few weeks, almost a month, I think, since I've actually done some work on bikes. And for this episode, we're primarily going to focus on Julia's G650GS. As you saw, if you've been following along 2 episodes, I took her out on a solo ride and got it dirty, as you can see. While I was on that ride, let me crank it over here, or at least turn on the screen. We rolled over to 6,000 miles, just over 6,000 miles, which in Beamerland is the first service on this thing. Let's start off with a few modifications to make the bike more comfortable. Then we'll take the bike apart, tackle that 6,000 mile service, and get this G650 ready for its next adventure. The first thing we're going to tackle as part of this episode on this project on the G650 is the side stand leans over a lot, and we're up on a pad. The side stand angle is just less than ideal. We're going to pull the side stand off, and for right now we're going to add a temporary side stand riser right there. If she doesn't like it, we'll change it to something else, but I'm going to try something a little unconventional and to just lift up this side stand a couple inches so that way the lean angle won't be as dramatic, because right now, especially loaded with gear, it just leans way over. In order to do that, I'm going to push the bike over, lean it against the house, and let's get this side stand pulled off. Okay, a couple things to note. I'm down here, got the bike leaned up against the house, turn that mirror in. When I went off-roading the other day, I lost this BMW emblem, so I'm going to have to find a new one. Sorry, Julia. So here's our side stand. There's 2 springs that keep it from going in and out. And then we've got a switch up here. There should be an Allen bolt on the underside here that after we remove these springs and get the springs out of the way, we should be able to get there. So I've got my Allen set. I didn't know what size it is. We'll figure that out. And then I've got a spring puller to pull the springs. So I'll get it all set up, and then I'll take you along with me on removing the BMW G650GS side stand. Back in the shop, and here's the plan. So I've got my side stand here. I've got this fancy NHL Pro hockey puck, and these little white dots, whatever you want to call them, little standoffs. These are removable, and there's actually a hole that goes through it. I've also got some carriage bolts. I don't remember the size on these, but they go through here with some washers and some lock nuts. My plan is I'm going to remove 3 of these, line up the side stand foot as best as possible to be captured by those 3, and bolt it to the side stand, and that'll give us a solid, I don't know, 2 inches or so. And it's red, so it kind of matches the bike. And then what we'll do is you'll bolt it through with the carriage bolts. These carriage bolts will replace the 3 little bumper deals that we pull out to screw this on. And we'll have a much taller, much nicer side stand. I don't really need to show you how this works or walk you through it. It's pretty straightforward. So let me get everything set up, and then we'll touch base after I get it bolted on, and I'll show you the results. We did it. Look at that. So got 3 bolts on there. I trimmed them down. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it'll do, and it'll definitely raise the kickstand quite a bit. and I think I like it. I don't know, we'll see. But worst comes to worst, I can always order a new kickstand, or we can do some kind of more metal based riser type situation. We'll figure that out later. As of right now, I think this will do for our trip. It'll definitely improve the lean angle quite a bit and give it a much larger footprint. Let's go throw it on the bike and see how it does. She's back on. Look at that. Sits way up, but it looks really awesome. Does stick out a little bit. We'll see if we get hung up on anything, but it definitely increases the lean angle. It definitely decreases the lean angle. I'm crazy. Anyway, she's looking good. So first mod down. Next up, and that's these guys right here. So these foot pegs are really small and don't really provide much grip, especially if you have some boots on, and I hate them. Hate's a strong word, but that's the one I'm using. And yeah, they're terrible. So over here on my magical bench of tricks, I've got some really nice bear trap style CNC aluminum foot pegs. And they're anodized, so they should hopefully hold up. We got some upgraded springs. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We're going to pull this cotter pin out, which I hate cotter pins. Straighten that out. It didn't come with the new set, so we're just going to try to use those. If not, I'll just go get some. We got our washers here. Pop out this pin, pull the peg out, put the new spring and peg on, pop the pin in, washer cotter pin. Pretty straightforward. These are supposedly supposed to fit, so I know on the last peg install I did on the Funduro over there, I had to modify them because that's kind of a rare older bike, so not a lot of pegs are available. This one's supposed to fit and bolt right up. Time to get my tools out and let's see if we can get this peg swapped out. Success. Look at that. Took a little bit of figuring out to get the pin and spring lined up and correctly oriented. Sorry if there's a dog barking, but that's what it is. That's pretty typical for this kind of job. But I really like that. That looks nice. Got a nice bear trap. Has a bit of a camber to it. I tightened all these screw sets down, whatever they're called. Set screws. That's what I meant to say. So that's nice. And then it, once it gets dirty, it'll match everything else. Next step's to turn the bike around and do it all over again. Kind of skipped over that part because it was a little boring. You already saw it once, but here we are. This spring I had to trim a little bit, so it's not super great, but it's holding and it'll work just fine. Can't wait to try these out, but there's those pegs. They're looking real good. I'll try them on. Oh yeah, I can immediately tell the difference, especially standing up. I imagine, riding down the trail, I'll really be able to tell, and it'll be super nice. What's next? We have to do the 6,000 mile service. Let me take you over the bench. I'll show you what we're going to do for that. On my magical bench, we have oil, filter, spark plugs, some oil stabilizer. This bike calls for 2.4 quarts, so I always do 2 quarts and then top it off with some stabilizer. We're going to clean the fuel system with some Techron, and then I've got all of the crush washers you could ever want that are all mixed up. So that's really exciting. I love when they show up like that, but hey, whatever. So I'm going to get the bike turned around again. One last time, hopefully. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so I'm going to fire the bike up, turn it around. I'll start pulling the body panels off after I get the bike turned around, and I'll show you how we perform a oil change. And we'll change the oil, change the plugs. Okay, we got the bike turned around. Now let's get this bike stripped down. She's stripped down. All the panels are off. Had to take this lower crash bar off. Next up, to drain the oil, we're going to hit this main drain plug first. It's a 24 mil. Yeah, so down here, first one, I started it a second ago. The 24, a big old crush washer. And we'll let that drain out, and I'll show you the next spot to drain. Alright, while that's draining, what I did is I moved my drip pan over, and then here's the oil filter. This is on the right side. So what you want to do is use a wrench that isn't powered, loosen this sucker up, and then since the bike's leaned over this way, the oil should just run down the side of the motor. And you have to drop a screw or two in the oil. That was fun. I'm going to go fish that out here in a second. Okay, now that we've successfully retrieved our screws for the oil cover right here from my oil pan right there, next up we're going to swap out the oil filter. So I've got this works for most F650s, a Ep.26 high flow filtro. That's what I run. I usually get them in packs of 5. So we just got to pop this one out of the cartridge. And then I'm going to get a rag and soak all this up. Get it out of the oil filter housing. So we'll give that a minute. And then I'll put in the new filter once I get that all cleaned up. It just pops in like that. Perfect. I got this cover area all cleaned off. There'll be some residual oil right here. We'll spray some cleaner on there and wash it down. I just want to make sure this mating surface is good. Make sure the oil filter is down all the way. So now over here on my cover, I have an O-ring. So you want to have a little bit of lubricant on that, and you want to inspect it and make sure it looks good. I thought it looked okay, so maybe on the next oil change we'll change it out. There we go. Get this lined up. It only goes on one way. Alright, that looks good. And then we'll get the screws installed and torque to spec. We're getting somewhere, and I'm losing a little bit of light, but stick with me. That's fixed. Fresh filter, reinstalled. Cleaned up, drain plug, new crush washer, reinstalled. For the final piece of the puzzle for the oil, we got to come over to the left side here. This is the oil filter or oil tank reservoir, and then this bolt right here, we pull that, that's going to drain out the rest of the oil on the bike. I'm going to do that, and then next up I have to get to these spark plugs, which is going to be an involved job. Update. We did some work last night and it was a little too dark to film, so I'll do a quick recap. So we got the spark plugs installed, a little bit of anti-seize at the top of the thread so it's easier to remove next time. I did a quick fire, the coils are good. Over here on the oil tank side, we've got our drain plug reinstalled and torqued to spec, and it's not leaking, and then everything topped off on the oil tank. I'll show you what we're going to do next in the process over here on the bench. Sorry if my bench is a little dirty, but I have a K&N BMW G650GS if you're following along at home. That works for the G650GS as well as some of the F-Series bikes. Let me pop this open. What that consists of is a 2-piece air filter, like a little insert, and then a completely reusable K&N air filter for the bike, which is going to go right in here. So I'm going to have to pull this horn off. I guess that's what it's called. A couple screws. This should pop off, and then the air filter will live in there. And I'll show you how we do it, but the air filter in this hole in here will sit in like this. And because this motor is untuned, we're going to insert this little foam brick inside the air filter to give it the proper restrictive flow. Beauty behind K&N air filters, this isn't really a plug for them, but I've used them in a couple projects. Made in the USA, they're washable, so you don't have to keep on buying paper filters, and they help with the performance. What we're going to do is unplug this here, I believe that's like some air sensor deal, and then unscrew this, and let's get into the horn. We'll go from there. That was the easiest install of any kind of performance part I've ever done on any motorcycle ever. pretty straightforward as you saw in the video. There's a screw here, little Torx, I think T25. And then there's a little tab right here that mounts the end of the horn into the front bracket for the headlight. I put these two stickers that came with the filter right here, just telling us not to discard. It's a reusable, that I can clean it, and then what air cleaning system K&N recommends, and then a little K&N sticker. Don't really love putting stickers on bikes, but this is going to go under the main fairing cover anyway, so you're not going to see it. The next steps are, we're going to get this bike put all back together. You don't need to see a time lapse of me putting the bike back together. You've seen it before. Here she is, apart. 3, 2, 1. And just like that, we are put together and ready for our next adventure. Quick recap on this build, in case you forgot. We did the hockey puck side stand extension, custom foot pegs. We tackled the oil change and spark plugs and a fresh K&N air filter. Gave it a good once-over, put the bike back together, and we are ready to go on our next adventure. That one's coming up on the next episode. I'm getting ready for it. It's going to be a super awesome ride, and I can't wait to take you along with me for that one, so stay tuned for that. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I love you, and I'll see you on the next one.